I want to go back to Susan Filan and talk about the prosecution's strategy.
It was powerful. It was emotional. It had the logic, and it had the common sense. And I think Linda Drain Burdick pulled it all together for this jury. So rather than going down the rabbit hole, as Jeff Ashton referred to yesterday, they can look back and look at the big picture, not get lost in the trees of the forest, and see this case for what it really is. And I think she pretty much dispelled and shot down all of the what seemed to be now cockamamie theories of the defense that were unsupported by the evidence. I really thought she was powerful.
And how important is the charge and what the judge has to say? How seriously do the jurors look at this and take it to heart?
The charge is extremely, extremely important. It's like getting in a car and thinking you know how to drive it and then having the instruction manual that tells you all the things that you don't know. It's very, very important, and the jurors are going to listen to it. And this judge is letting them take the instructions with them into the jury room, 12 different sets. Each person is going to have their own rules of the road. You take those rules of the road and you apply it to the car as you're going to drive it, and that's how they are going to deliberate, because they've gotten everything they need from the lawyers at this point. They've gotten a rehash of the evidence. They've gotten their each theories on what the evidence means. But now they need the instructions as to the law about how to take what they've heard in this courtroom and deliberate and reach their verdict. And I think that it's more likely now than I thought before for a first-degree murder conviction, because after listening to Linda Drain Burdick and you stand back and you look at it all, what else could it be? So even with the holes in the case, no cause of death, it seems that you can infer now from all the circumstantial evidence what that cause of death was and who caused that death. And when you got those two pieces, it's first-degree murder. As Jeff Ashton says, no matter how you slice it.
She learned from her parents to lie, from her brother to lie. This is a family where deception and hiding are normal points of view, but that does not make her a murderer. Do you think that this sort of discounted now what seemed at the time to be a pretty good strategy by Jose Baez?
Yes, I think it killed that strategy, because Linda Drain Burdick explained the lies. She said, yes, there are many shades of grief, but there's only one shade of guilty. And what do guilty people do? They lie. So she no longer looked like the general Casey family liar. She looked like a very specific brand of liar, a guilty person trying to cover up a heinous crime. And then when you hear in her own words on the jailhouse video how she's again trying to lie to her parents, saying, look in the database, check New York. And then they cut to her in the courtroom shaking her head with this angry pout. She looked exactly like who she really is right there in that courtroom in front of that jury. So I think Linda Drain Burdick said why she lies in this case, and it's because she's guilty of murder and she doesn't want to get caught and she doesn't want to get found out. And moreover, she doesn't want the body discovered because she wants her freedom extended another day.
If they've decided that Casey Anthony killed her daughter, if they've gone there, then they have to decide whether she meant to do it, whether it was premeditated. What are the key points for the prosecution on that?
Well, I don't think there's any other conclusion they can come to now, because the prosecution said even if she didn't mean to, it was an accident of an overdose of chloroform. That's aggravated child abuse. That's first-degree murder. So you can get to first-degree murder one of two routes. You can go the premeditated, or you can go the aggravated child abuse, and either one's going to get you to first degree. And they've clearly, in my view now, convinced me of either one of those or both. And the prosecution said you can do one, you can do the other, or you can do both. So whether she meant to chloroform her to kill her, or she meant to chloroform her to silence her, and then duct taped her mouth, and then we have the way that the child was disposed. If it was an accident, as the prosecution told you, oh my gosh, I meant to put her to sleep, I didn't mean to kill her, then you call 911. The coroner said that in 100% of the accidental cases, even cases that start out where you do something awful like Benadryl a kid, and then it's an overdose of Benadryl, you still try to revive and resuscitate and save that child's life. You don't then put her in the trunk, put her in a bag, put her in a swamp, and leave her to the point where finally in December, the corpse is so decomposed that you can't tell a cause of death and then try to benefit from that and have the child's remains dragged by animals.